can't find the source of this lethally evil force. This is serious, so give me a quarter. I was a witness, get me a report. Call April O'Neil in on this case, and you better hurry up, there's no time to wait. We need help like quick on the double. Have pity on the city, and it's in trouble. We need heroes like the Lone Ranger when Tonto came pronto when there was danger. They didn't say we'd be there in half an hour, cause they displayed triple power.
Hello everyone out there in podcast land. Welcome to the Front Row Movie Reviews, the podcast for people who actually like movies.
Yeah.
Somewhere between the artistic geniuses of Eastman and Laird and Michael Bay, there are decades of movies that define generations. For some folks, they're classics. For everybody, they are flashbacks. And today we're actually doing what every good comic book does when it needs to get more people and more money. We are doing a crossover.
Yeah.
So first off, we're going to go around the room here and introduce folks, and then we will introduce folks on the Magic Inner Tubes TV thing. So first off, I'm your host, Scott McFarland, and along with me today I have...
Jeremy Yechner, editor-in-chief of the Front Row. We launched our new website, and I'm feeling psyched about it. And, on May 33rd.
May 33rd, huh?
That's when we're launching.
Absolutely. You want to
May 33rd. You gotta listen to the last episode of news.
It makes sense if you listen to the news.
Sounds good. Okay.
Craig McFarland. Hi.
You're not going to throw your cool ass title that no one cares about?
Oh, associate editor.
Oh, yes.
Allison Means. I don't have a title, and I was told that we were not video recording, so I'm not wearing any makeup.
And no pants, but that's a whole other
Well,
story.
you can't see that.
It's a low angle.
We got the camera shooting up.
We are the
Ew.
quintessential no pants podcast.
Yeah, you can't say audio anymore. Okay. And with us today, we've got 2 and/or 3 people Skyping into us from the lovely California. I won't do my wizard joke again, since I got it last time. From After the Hype, a great podcast that I have been listening to since you guys introduced me to it.
Yeah.
When they were on a show a while back. So let's go ahead and introduce those guys. Somebody.
Jonathan Hardesty. Don't have a title. We're gonna...
Only the cool
I'm
kids
Brian
are
Dressel. I'm the host of After the Hype. I'm going to give myself that title right away because I've been doing it longer than anyone else at After the Hype.
That's right.
Yep, because I started it. That's how it works. Just an interloper. Yeah, a long time.
You guys have been killing it, by the way. I listened
recently,
to
yes.
like you guys had the dude from Marvel Movie News on. You had
Coy Jandro.
I can't believe you got Coy Jandro.
He's ripped, man. Yeah.
He's ripped.
He's an awesome guy.
That's
He almost had
awesome.
to take his shirt off. Yeah.
Almost? Why didn't you?
And he showed up on a motorcycle. Like, how fucking cool is that? He's like, yeah, all right, whatever. Just kind of rolls up. Like, he's just a cool dude.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then the stunt woman from Hateful Eight, one of them. That's awesome. Incredible stuff.
Did you ask her where the script was in Hateful Eight?
Oh, come on.
Oh, ouch.
She's just a stunt woman. She has no control over that.
It's like there's some hijinks going on Minnie's Haberdashery this evening. Come on, man.
No one cares.
Oh.
So one of the things that you guys do before we get started, though, I do want to say I do listen to all your podcasts, and I have to yell at you because after your Force Awakens podcast, I had to get my high blood pressure meds increased because you pissed me off so much in that podcast. Is that the black guy? What?
Here's the thing: is I like the movie, I really do, but it's flawed. There are problems with it, and I don't think there's a problem with saying I love something and still saying that it's horribly fucked up and should have been better. It's a lot better than our X-Men episode where it was like, is there anything good about this? Silence.
I love that one, by the way. What's better, X3 or Wolverine?
Kelsey Grammer as Beast wins that, okay?
So now we've gone over your back catalog. One of the things the After the Hype guys do is they try to say a synopsis in 30 seconds. So I think we need to put these guys to their own.
Yes.
So we're going to go ahead, and we're not going to do it because we're cooler than that, but
Yeah.
you're going to go
It's
ahead.
not
and
our thing.
I would like to say that I did set the bar pretty high.
Yeah.
I mean, in the future podcast that we haven't recorded yet.
No, I feel like the bar is going to be set high later. In the future, it sounds like it's going to be great.
The bar will be elevated, yes.
So, gentlemen, if you'd like to go ahead and tell us about the movie, go right ahead.
You got 30
Do you want to go at the
seconds.
same time, or do you want just John?
Of course, no, at the same time.
30 collective seconds.
Ready? And go.
So it's in the New York City. Crime is bad. Only turtles can stop crime. Especially when there's a dude who wears knives on shoulder pads.
Yep.
And rats are cool. Yep. Pizza. So Shredder is a dude
10 seconds.
to New York and the turtles stop him. I mean, that's really
There you go.
And done. Hey!
Bravo.
Now you understand what all of your guests go through.
I'm dead.
So now I'm going to give you a real synopsis.
Only turtles can stop
Oh, by
crime.
the way, we're doing turtles. I don't think I ever actually mentioned
Yeah,
that we're
what's
doing
it-
Yeah, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That is something that was failed to be mentioned. So
They would see it in the title.
if you look, we are doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then what you can do is go over to listen to After the Hype, and you'll hear myself with the guys and gal, and we just did Secret of the Ooze. So you
Yes.
can kind of listen to both of them.
And in this one, they actually use weapons.
Yeah.
The yo-yo counts as a weapon if it hits you in the face.
Exactly.
True. And the sausage. Don't forget the nunchuck sausage.
Oh God, I remember
Okay.
so much more of the Secret of the Ooze.
I really remembered
the Secret
so
of
much
the
more
Ooze.
from
Way
Secret of
more.
the
I
Ooze
Remember
than from
Secret of
this
the
one.
Ooze sucked, and the first one was good. That's
Oh, how dare you, sir.
Oh, so time out. They finished the movie by having a guitar riff battle that takes out Shredder, and then the second time they take
I
out
never
Shredder,
said it was a great
and then the second
movie.
time they take out Shredder,
What?
they drop a dock on him.
You act like this is a bad plot device.
You seen this movie?
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so we're talking about the largest grossing independent movie until the Blair Witch Project, and that is 1990's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And we're looking at Kevin's ass in the video. So Kevin's here. Hi, Kevin. Introduce yourself.
Hello, welcome to my house.
Kevin Kulovic.
Thanks for letting us break in. It was great. Appreciate it.
That-
Okay, so as the gentleman mentioned earlier, there's a crime wave in New York. Who are you going to call? Unfortunately, the police. But the Big Apple also has 4 15-year-old turtle brothers, Leo, Donnie, Raph, and Mikey, ready to save the day. When they aren't stiffing poor pizza delivery guys, they're protecting the city with from adolescents operating out of a diaper delivery van. When Raph loses his eye when helping TV reporter and fashion misfit April O'Neil, have you seen what she wears?
Oh, yes.
The gang find themselves joining April and later a homophobic Wayne Gretzky on steroids, Casey Jones. And you're
That's
claustrophobic.
accurate.
I've never looked at a guy. Okay. And a quest to stop the Foot from terrorizing the city's pawn shop market. Splinter is captured and the gang is ambushed, leaving Raphael in a coma. The brothers, April and Casey, hide out this old house while they nurse Raph back to health.
/ put him in a bathtub and leave him there.
The bathtub's not even big enough for him. We'll get to that. After a communal fever dream with Splinter, the Turtles go to rescue their sensei from the Foot and their leader, Shredder. They defeat the film culminates in a fight where Splinter defeats Shredder by tossing him off a building, and Casey Jones flat out murders the guy. We're going to ignore the sequel. He flat out murders the guy.
Murdered.
And we close in the Turtles celebrating while Splinter practices his stand-up routine. So that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go around the room and around the internet and talk about our initial impressions of the movie and what we remember about it back when some of us were around in 1990.
I was
I
around.
think everyone was around,
around.
actually. Okay, for this one, everyone was around. Yay,
I
it's
was-
in the 80s.
2.
Okay.
4. Round.
3, but
I saw it in the theaters. Just wanted to
So
ask.
did I. Yep.
There you go.
Theaters.
Okay.
Saw it 4 times in the theaters. Thank you very much.
Brian, go ahead and start with you.
So this came out of. I was very, very young, and I can't remember when I first started watching Turtles, but Turtles was everything to me. It still kind of is, which is sad for a 30-year-old, but whatever. So I remember going to church one morning, and my dad told me that if I could sit quietly for the whole mass, that he'd take me to Turtles afterwards. And I did not make a movement. I did not make a peep. I sat through the entire mass like a good little boy, and then we went and saw Turtles. And then I conned my mom into the same thing the next week. And then I just got my friends to take me. And I saw this movie as many times as possible because Turtles was everything to me. And this was the coolest thing in the entire world because I'd only seen them as cartoon characters. So then seeing them in the movie, even though they're nothing like the cartoon, was still the greatest thing I'd ever seen. I was so happy that it even came out and then that I was able to see it. It's still one of my earliest going to the theater is like movie memories. Fantastic.
Keep on going over there.
I didn't see it nearly as many times as Brian because, poor.
That $2 movie theater ticket, man, it's hard.
Right. Yeah, no, rough times. But saw it was a blast. I watched the cartoon a bunch and was like, movie? Like, I hadn't seen very many movies, so this was a big deal. And just to see everything just darker and on screen was so amazing. Like, I was blown away. And, yeah, I mean, it's partially why it's still my favorite movie, is just because I have such a great memory associated with going to see that in the theater.
As in, like, your favorite period?
We put.
Of the two.
Oh, okay. All right.
Good to set that
like-
bar really high,
Gotcha.
there, boss.
Would you blame me if I said overall?
I know. I mean, everybody has
You're
their own.
entitled to your.
Have we done that with these guys?
Oh, I guess we have to.
No.
Yeah,
What are your
there's
favorite
rules.
movies?
The host should have done that.
I should have, but I'm the terrible host. So, what are your favorite movies?
It's Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which is the greatest
Excellent.
movie ever made. If you disagree with me, you're wrong.
All right.
It's a good one.
From best one. The Fugitive for me.
Excellent. I like it.
Good
Very
choices.
good. Very
U.S.
good.
Marshals
Solid
like,
choices.
don't like.
Never saw that one.
You never saw.
you
Oh, U.S. Marshals is okay.
It doesn't work in my headcanon.
You have a headcanon? What? Never mind.
Headcanon. It's a whole thing, Craig.
Dude, I have so much headcanon around the Transformers. It's not even funny.
Oh God.
So when I first saw this movie, I thought it was a lot darker than I expected it to be. It kind of was a little scary for little bitty Craig, but I really enjoyed it. There was some parts in it that I was just like. Still to this day, it carries on the theme of like, Raphael, why are you doing what you're doing? Like, it made me really hate Raphael. I just this movie is like, he's basically like the Tony Stark of this movie, where anything that he touches creates something worse out of it. Brian's gone. So
That's a good comparison, actually.
Yeah, sort
He's
of.
got a sigh here. He's great.
nice. I love it.
Ready to
Coming
go.
for you.
But anyway, I love this movie. I actually do think Secret of the Ooze is my favorite of the trilogy, just because of a lot of the things that we may have already talked about on After the Hype. So go check out their podcast. But I do like this movie thoroughly.
Allison.
I was very, very young when this movie came out. I did not see it in the theater. I did not see it until a couple of years later. And it was a little bit scary for me as a small child. But I grew up watching the cartoon, so it was a really interesting, like you were saying, Brian, like, here they are, they're real, they're like 3D. Like they're giant. But yeah, it was a really amazing sort of thing for you as a small child. Like, oh my God, these are the turtles that I see in the cartoon, and here they are. And I think I was just so in awe of that I it stuck with me, because I was like, the turtles are real.
Jeremy.
Yeah, for me, it's so weird. When I was growing up, my dad owned about 8 VHS tapes. Like, that's it, just 8. And my sister and I would watch them on repeat. And this and Secret of the Ooze were one of them. And so pretty much formative years.
Two.
Huh?
That's two.
It's 2.
No, I know, they were 2 of them.
Okay,
Did
sorry.
I rephrase that? Yeah. But,
He's a Cardinals fan.
How are they doing? Go Nats. Okay.
I seem to remember 11 happy endings compared to 1. Oh, anyway.
Actually, 1907 and 1908. Bite my ass.
We semantics this thing. Anyway, back to the movie. This, you're right, like, watching it over and over again, I don't think you quite, as a kid, realize kind of the grittiness of the film. Because there's some tone issues with me a little bit, because, like, sometimes it seems like they want to be a kid-friendly movie, but then other times they want to be like a kind of like an indie karate film type thing. and like there's a few hard edges here that kind of push it out of a kid-friendly film to me. But I remember like loving every part of this movie. Like, you know, I didn't read the comics beforehand, but just the way that the Turtles' humor worked, like just how, like, I mean, like I just love it when the very first time they meet with Master Splinter and he says, "Let's meditate," and they turn on tequila and just start dancing, and I was like, ninjutsu! Like I was like, this is like going to be really funny. But yeah, it's just so great, and the action's very good. And I thought watching it again later that the kind of, you know, the real life animatronic type stuff would be a little creepy, but it actually wasn't. I actually kind of prefer it, even though I did like the new one, but I actually kind of prefer what happens in this one.
Okay, time out. You liked the new one?
That was fun. I turned off my brain. I enjoyed it.
Okay. First off, let's all agree right now, Muppets are always going to be better than CGI bullshit.
Granted.
Okay? For one, they look like turtles and not like the Doomsday from BVS.
Especially since Brian loved BBS.
Hey,
Anyway.
I did too, man.
Okay.
Yes, solidarity.
There's two of you.
My wife loved it too. There's 3.
We found them all.
Yeah.
And Zack Snyder makes 4. Okay.
Oh God.
You still owe me on that bet.
We'll see.
No, we won't see. You still owe me on the bet.
He's still
man.
directing. Come on.
Okay. So, for me, as I already mentioned, I was 6 when this came out, so I do remember seeing this in theaters. Shut up. And it really does. It totally, I get what you're saying, where it kind of goes back and forth, but I do think it straddled the line between the comic and the cartoon very well. And I like the fact that it doesn't go too much on the cartoon side, because if you all remember the cartoon, it was pretty heavy parody, pretty heavy dumbass stuff. So the fact that the movie can still kind of
you have offended.
No, I like the cartoon. What I'm saying is, if you're going in to watch a movie,
Pearls have been clutched.
where's the ball gag at?
Oh my lord!
My stars and goddess. No, but seriously, I mean, if you're going to go in and watch a movie like this, you're going to be kind of thrown off if it's going to be like the cartoon was, which, you know, we'll talk about what's going to happen later, but I think that's actually kind of what's going to be interesting about the new Turtles coming out here in a few weeks is it's obviously going for the cartoon feel. And will that work? I think it's going to work better than the first one, but we'll get into that discussion. Another thing I remember about this movie, going back to the VHSs, is there was a Pizza Hut commercial in the VHS.
Yeah, there
Yep,
was.
totally was.
Right field, it's important, you know. You gotta learn how to catch. You gotta learn how to throw. That thing has been stuck in my head for 20 freaking years. Well, 25 years. So, anyone else remember that Pizza Hut commercial?
Yeah.
Evan Brian.
I do remember. I remember watching the trailer like way back when. Do you remember what the tagline at the end of this trailer was for this movie?
Oh my goodness.
It was lean, green, and on the screen.
The poster said, "Dude, this is no cartoon."
I was just like, man, I just love early '90s advertising. I just really
man.
do.
We need to bring that back.
Yeah, exactly.
Avoid the noise.
We need to bring back the.
Oh my god. Yeah, and Domino's Pizza still sucks 25 years later. And they're always late 25 years later. Okay, so we're gonna go.
Just track it.
Yeah, exactly.
Put it in the oven, Jimmy. Update your blog. You got it in the oven.
Okay, so we're going to go into discussing kind of our favorite scenes and what really worked for us in the movie. We'll go ahead and start with Allison on this one. Deer in headlights, go for it.
Great, thanks. I think probably my favorite scene is the first time that you see the Turtles with Splinter down in, underground in the sewers.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like when we have the shadows and then the screen pops up and they jump out?
When you first see them interact with Splinter.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Master, we have had our first battle.
we have had our first battle.
They were many, but we were greater.
But we kicked there.
Yes.
We lost.
The sign! Damn! Damn!
And then
Damn! Should probably play a drinking game with how many times Raph says damn in this movie.
It's only 2, but it sounds like a lot more.
I was wasted.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great intro, real intro to them. You go from the more serious, like, we're fighting, and we're shadowy, mysterious creatures, to we're 15-year-olds and we really like pizza.
Craig.
It's got to be the Battle with Shredder, only because in watching this in conjunction with Secret of the Ooze,
Which
like the battle with Shredder and Secret of the Ooze amounted to nothing. So this epic battle where he's really out for blood. He is out to kill the turtles, and so it gives that heightened sense of urgency. It makes everything so much more real. And the choreography of the fighting I thought was incredible, particularly due to the fact that those costumes were so heavy at the time, and insane how heavy those costumes were. So
full of motors in the mouth.
Yeah, and
they
couldn't see a damn
can't see
thing.
anything.
So that battle, to me, is the epitome of this movie, and it's what sets it apart from the other two movies in the trilogy. It really shows you that this was the nitty-gritty. This was the one that stayed the most true to the comics.
Yeah.
God, I love how we're assuming that the third one, Time Travel Turtles, existed.
Turtles in Time.
Turtles in
Turtles in
Time.
Time.
They tried
go to
really
feudal
hard.
Japan.
They tried really hard to make it into a Super
That
Nintendo
they
game.
did.
And also
it
the
didn't
Muppets
work.
get worse and worse.
Yeah,
so
they
hard.
do. This is hard, but
had that Super Nintendo
I think that one scene that I always just every time I watch this movie that I just love watching is the very first interaction between Raphael and Casey Jones, where we meet Casey Jones for the first time. Because I don't know, there's just something about that banter, and it gets better with age because you start understanding more with what they talk about. Because my favorite line in that whole interaction is when he's like, "Time for a new game, cricket." He's like, "Cricket? What's cricket? You don't understand cricket."
He's like, you gotta understand what a crumpet is to understand cricket.
It's like putting down
Yeah, he's just like Raphael with. I don't know, it's just. But I really like Elias Koteas as Casey Jones. I always have. He's mostly known for playing those hard-boiled creepy parts in movies, but I just thought that this was a very very
creepy?
fun
Well, how was he not hard-boiled and creepy in this?
Okay, he plays murderers and rapists and crap. All right, I'm sorry, but that's not Casey Jones.
He does kill a dude in this movie.
He does, and he does.
He also kills some teenagers too.
Shredder is a machine. I'll just put that out there. But
What?
he's more of a machine in my mind. All right.
What?
Not literally, okay? I don't give a shit about Shredder. I don't care if he dies. That's what I'm saying. All right, no, but I'll give an honorable mention to the first time the Turtles sit down and eat pizza with April too. I just when Mikey's doing the impressions. I always like that one. He does James Cagney, so.
We'll go over to the California guys.
Alright, I think, honestly, my favorite scene in the whole movie, I think, is probably, I always say it's the best scene in the movie. It's the first time where you really see the turtles talk to each other. So it's with Michelangelo and Donatello in the sewer when they're waiting.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's such it's a funny scene. It's great to see them together, but it actually, speaking as a film nerd, it actually does so much to set up the characters. It's this great thing of Michelangelo waiting for the pizza. He wants pizza, but then Donatello sits down and actually tries to have a legitimate conversation. He asks hey, what do you think? Did you ever think about what Splinter said? When he's not here, are we gonna be okay? And Michelangelo just blatantly ignores him. He's
Yeah.
I'm paying for pizza. I'm not gonna deal with any of that heavy shit.
Yeah.
Pizza guy's got 2 minutes.
Yeah, but in that scene, you're right. I love it so much because he actually does take a pause to look at him, and then he's just pizza guy's got 30 seconds.
Because
he acknowledges it and then blatantly doesn't care.
they're 15-year-olds.
Dramatic.
Yeah.
And let's not forget Donatello, played by the voice of Corey Feldman, which is
Oh,
just
yeah,
amazing
yeah.
to hear Corey come out of there. They'll still, yeah.
Can I just point out something I just noticed was those guys are both drinking coffee. We are all drinking beer. So obviously we're doing something better in the
The
Midwest.
camera. It's still daytime here.
Whatever. It is 6:45.
Game of Thrones for us.
Yeah, right.
The scene I really liked, and coming back to this again, that really stood out was the scene after Raphael gets the shit beaten out of him, and they get to that cottage out there, the farmland, and April's just drawing the pictures, and it's kind of having all the turtles deal with their own grief, kind of in their own way of losing Splinter, and just getting their asses handed to them, and it's kind of a nice moment that leads into Donnie insulting Casey Jones while they're working on the vehicle.
Oh, it's so good.
And that, the culmination of that in that scene is, for me, just the best.
No, yeah, and
Very good scene.
that whole part in the farmhouse is something that really makes this movie stand the test of time, and the fact that you have characterization. This isn't just guys walking around in foam green suits beating up on folks. They're dealing, like you said, with grief, dealing with the loss of potentially 2 people in their family, and I think it turns out well. And I also like the fact that Leonardo kind of stands up there and deals with that.
Yeah, and also like I always loved that Leonardo was the one standing vigil over Raphael and stuff. Like even though they have all these clashes, like when it comes down to it, yeah.
Could they have not gotten the guy something that he wasn't hanging out of the tub?
Oh my God, that poor.
I get that they were trying to hydrate him, but my God, give him something to fit him. Put him in the back of the pickup truck or something.
Hate that moment where April comes in and she just takes a trickle of water and just trickles it across him.
That's the difference.
So I was like, that definitely did it, April. You saved him.
Well, you guys,
Done saved him.
Yes.
you guys hit on a lot of the good ones, but I'll throw another one in there, another fight scene, and that is the one at the antique shop. Just starts out with Raphael and Leo having a fight, Raphael running away, and then Raphael getting his ass kicked. While Casey Jones stalks
Casey Jones
people.
is being creepy again. Creepy.
Yeah, creepy and rapey. It's okay.
Just
Raphael's all by
looking at
himself.
people's.
Now, the one question I have though, okay, power is off. The floor has already fallen through. The house is basically about ready to burn to shreds, and her voicemail
Her answering
still
machine works.
Yeah.
It's on fire.
The exposition voicemail works. You're fired. Okay.
Hey man.
The cord was in flames.
Also, answering machines were a lot better back then.
They don't make them like they used to.
They don't make them like that at all.
Dear God, I love it.
So, one thing we can do too is let's go around and kind of talk about our favorite characters. And some of us are going to buddy up because there's only 4 turtles, and we're probably all going to mostly say turtles. But let's go ahead and give it to the After the Hype guys first. Talk about your favorite characters.
Let's see. In this one, it's between each turtle's property or iteration. It kind of changes a little bit, but basically Donatello. Just getting kind of all thoughtful. They lead into that a little bit more later on in the second movie, where he's just, the ooze. I want to mean more, and his little journey kind of through the 2 movies is nice, but he's very much aligned with how I am in real life anyway. So.
Cool.
Yeah, I gotta hop on there too. Sorry, Brian, to cut you off, but Donatello he's kind of been my favorite turtle throughout all of any iteration of the Turtles.
You were Donnie for Halloween once, weren't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was the chubbiest of turtles.
Fun story for a second.
Spit take.
My dad stuck me in a Batman suit one year and Craig in a penguin suit, and it worked out really well.
Aww.
Who's the skinnier one now?
Yes.
So anyway, so no, Donatello, absolutely fantastic. I love him, and in this movie, the philosophical nature of him kind of comes out. And as a kid, you don't really understand that, but it's something you can kind of continually know more of throughout the time that we're able to have and be able to go back and watch this movie again, and you'll be able to understand that a little bit better.
Well, now that Craig is done stepping on you, Brian,
Sorry.
go for it.
No, it's fine. It's strange because when I watch Turtles are always my favorite. But when I look at this movie, I honestly think the best character is Splinter.
Yes.
I think it's because they really nail the father, I don't know, the father aspects of him. Like he really wants to be the father to these turtles. And the Turtles, I think, are, as much as I love this movie, and I really, really do, they're all kind of hit or miss for me. They're all they get the funny part of Michelangelo, and then they kind of forget everything else. They get this inquisitive part of Donatello, and they forget everything else. Leonardo's the leader, and they get a little bit into it in the farmhouse, but not really enough for me to really feel like they're the Turtles that I know and love. But I feel like they do a really good job nailing Splinter. The wise leader. I love his scenes with Danny when he's hung against the fence for some reason. These are amazing. Yeah, they're really well done scenes. And the voice actor now was
You
really
can have
good.
the same
I thought,
favorite.
out of everything in the movie, they nailed Splinter the best, and I really he's this movie's the main reason why I still love Splinter and like the comics, the cartoons, and everything. Because I always kind of go back to this movie and
Yeah.
Splinter.
This is why I had our guests go first, because I knew. So, Jeremy, would you like to talk about Splinter some more?
Yes, actually, you nailed mine, Brian. Like Splinter is also my favorite, and because I didn't mention him, but those scenes with Danny where he's up against the wall telling the story and everything. God, this is gonna sound really cheesy because it's coming from a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, but I find those moments like that in even like the weirdest movies, but like those are kind of inspiring moments to me, like in the movie, because aside from anything else, you're turning a kid who's confused and who's in this evil organization, and just by telling a story, you're getting him to see what's right and changing, his entire outlook on life. And I just always like love that because it kind of plays off of the power of words and everything. And yeah, like Splinter, just like every time, and I love the little conversation he has with Raphael after he comes back from the fight with Casey Jones, just talking about the responsibility of it all and everything. And yeah, like there's something always about when Splinter's talking in this movie, I just like kind of pay extra attention. And fantastic voice work too. I can't remember the guy who voiced him, but very, very, very good.
I'm gonna get nitpicky for 1 second on that scene, the second part where Danny has come back and Splinter's still hung up, and then Shredder tells him to kill Splinter. Danny has been found out as a traitor to the Foot, and Splinter just kind of walks away and says, "Yeah, kill the rat. We don't care about the kid."
Yeah. Oh man.
The Foot Clan in this movie is so much better than in Secret of the Ooze, by the way. Anyway, go.
Allison's up.
Allison, sorry, we'll get there.
Yes,
I
we
think
will.
for me, Leonardo, I think he's the best developed character-wise. He sees consequences for his actions. He feels responsibility for the fight that he had with Raph and how that led to, him almost dying. When I think the scene where he's sitting vigil there is really powerful in that sense of like he's really learned something about himself that maybe was hard to confront. That like I've done something that it ultimately could lead to the death of my brother. I thought he was really well developed as far as this movie goes. Of the four.
Yeah.
Well, and
No, yeah, I was like, poor Judith Hogue. Nobody likes her.
I think Judith Hogue was hot, even in her shitty 80s
God, a
outfits in
terrible
1990.
fashion.
Way to switch over to beer, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Is he drinking America over there?
Yeah, I've got America.
Wait, yeah.
It looks like the most generic Pilsner. Oh, Angel City. Okay.
Generic Pilsner. Pilsner brand beer.
Aren't Pilsners usually generic anyway?
By the way, it says here Kevin Clash is the guy who voiced Splinter, so well done, man.
Kevin Clash is kind of a badass name.
Do we want to talk about Kevin Clash right now? do we all know the story of Kevin Clash?
No.
He was the voice of Elmo.
Elmo, that's what I thought. Damn it.
And he's the one who's no longer the voice of Elmo. Yeah.
Too much
But while we're talking about favorite characters, by the way,
Yeah.
by the way, lest we forget good old Sam Rockwell in this film, as it says on IMDb, as the head thug.
He's in there about 4 or 5 scenes, and he pops up. He's the guy who gives the kids the cigarettes.
Yeah.
He's the guy who dramatically turns at the end and says, "We're not going to fight," even though there's really no reason to not fight. But I'm going to agree with Allison on Leonardo. I'm probably projecting more over the course of the entire franchise that I've always liked Leonardo, but I think in this movie you've already hit on it. He has some really good character development. He is mostly like everybody else in that first scene when they're playing around in the sewers, but by the end he is kind of leading them. He tries to get them all to unify around the fact that Splinter is still alive when a lot of them didn't even know. He had the first fever dream, all that good stuff. So, Leonardo to me has always been my favorite. So, but no, we got a good spattering there. It's good. Let's talk about some things that didn't work for us in the movie. Craig, what do you got?
Okay, so it didn't work for me as a kid. I would go back to the darker tone of the movie. But now, looking at that and comparing it against the others, I don't know that there was too much in here that didn't work. Maybe other than I've always thought that April in this movie was slightly weak, and that was just the way that they made the character. But I would say they were obviously going for more of the comic book tone, which they did hit on, but I prefer the more cartoony aspects of Secret of the Ooze. So that I would say maybe that is just the overall tone of it is what I might not enjoy as much.
Yeah.
I just can't get over the fact that they never once pull out their weapons once in that movie. And once you don't
They
notice
do one time.
One time.
They do. Now you see them.
Now you know.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
But once the first time you see it, you don't notice that. You're just like, oh, it's a Turtles movie. Then when you see it, it's like burned in your memory and you can't get rid of it. The fact that they really never ever use any of their weapons.
Johnny uses his bow the whole movie.
Yeah.
It's a stick.
Yeah, but he still uses it.
There's that whole like
Yeah.
April uses the
nunchuck
nunchucks.
dance off.
Yeah, come on now.
That's in the first one.
There's like a nunchuck
Oh, yeah,
dance
the
off.
mall
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll jump off of.
By the way.
Yeah, I'll jump off of Craig's point because it's really funny. When I was a kid and watching this film, the darker stuff is kind of like, oh, that's kind of weird. Now, as I literally watched this a couple days ago, and I was like, then I was more gravitating towards the dark stuff.
I wish it was
and
all
like,
darker.
The more cartoony stuff in the film is there because, like, right off the bat in this film, they do there's a crime wave hitting the city. You got April O'Neil doing her report, and like the scene that always just like stands out in my head is a woman on her balcony like watching TV. She looks away for 5 seconds, and hands just come and like take the TV, and then the kid's immediately on the ground running away with it. And I was like,
Dang.
What the hell? Like I know what's coming in this film, and you pulled that cartoony shit there.
I gotta credit Cinema Sense for catching this one too. Is that TV's still plugged in when he's running away because she still hears it the whole time. That's a long ass extension cord.
No, but yeah, exactly. But I actually did like seeing it again, Judith Hoag in this. You're right though. I don't think they give her quite enough to do, but like I love it. Like when she's confronted with the foot, like in the subway, she immediately starts to fight. Even and plus that like badass like foot guy who just holds out his hand. Here's a message. Slap.
When I said April was one of my least favorite parts, I looked at Allison just assuming she was going to hit me. So.
No, because I actually have the same problem. I just felt like she has a couple really good moments where she's a strong character, like that in the subway where she just starts smacking him with her purse. But I feel like it drops off as they go, and she becomes just like a device for, explaining things about the other characters and loses some of her own internal.
She's not even really a plot device because the plot doesn't have it around her. But you're right. She's exposition.
She's exposition, and she loses kind of her value as a character, which is a shame because she's actually a really great character that I wish would have gotten more to do.
And then they overcorrected in the remake and made it too much about April O'Neil. So
yeah, the remake. Okay. Guys, what do you got?
So the thing that I dislike the most in the movie, and I'm going to speak not from like a fan of the movie, just more so from like my fan of the comics. Like after this movie came out, I've read I think there's very few Turtles comics that I've missed. I've read, I think, pretty much everything. And I can go back and go, I don't like the darker tone, but they totally nailed Eastman Laird's original tone.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, I know.
It's not the cartoon, sure, but it is the comic, so I can't be too upset about it. The thing that I don't really like is, as a Turtles fan, not of the movie, I don't like Casey Jones. Like, he doesn't feel like Casey Jones to me. Eliza Tace is great and does a good job with the character they give him, but it's more like they just give him a badass dude and slap a Casey Jones mask on him and go, it's Casey Jones.
Which he only wears once in the movie anyway, twice.
That's his name. Yeah. And it didn't feel right to me. And now going back and rewatching it multiple times, especially after seeing like the really great Casey Jones in the current IDW comic and the really, really fun Casey Jones in the Nickelodeon cartoon, it's kind of weird to go back to this one and go, this is just kind of a douchebag guy.
And that's one of the things.
It's fine, but it's not my favorite.
That's one of the things I'm looking forward to in the new movie is the fact that Stephen Amell is playing Casey Jones.
That's what I was going to ask. Are you excited to see Stephen Amell playing Casey Jones?
Since I haven't really seen him do anything other than Arrow, I'm a little hesitant. But he's just such a great I'm not sure if you guys follow him like Twitter or Instagram like that. He's such a great fan, just so excited about the stuff he does.
So just with that level of enthusiasm, I'm excited to see what he does.
I always give him a lot of credit, and I'm actually not a really fan with how Arrow's going this season. I've kind of stopped watching, but I give him a lot of credit because when that whole Flash debacle happened and the new Flash show came out, and a few days later, like the same day, DC announced...
It was like the same day they announced
DC announced
Ezra Miller.
the little turd who's doing Flash in the new ones. And Amel came out and said, look, you didn't give Grant Gustafson any chance to breathe here.
Right.
This kid is making this character his own, and DC has
he's so
already
good.
screwed him. So I give him a lot of credit for backing up his colleagues there.
So for me, the thing I disliked, actually, it's weird because everything like Turtles based, the property, the franchise, the references, kind of that as a comic book movie is actually pretty good. The whole kind of social element, the kids being like running with their families, being recruited by Shredder. There's a lot of interesting social economic things going on in that movie that they just hint at, that they kind of throw away. And I feel like it's a tough line to balance, and ultimately it's still a really good movie. And they probably shouldn't have gone that way. It just seems weird to have some really hefty element that they just kind of ignore.
Yeah, well, they kind of do the same thing in Ooze, if I remember right.
Okay.
They still have the kids and everything, too. Craig, do you want to talk about your foot thing, since you were talking about how you
Your
like the
foot thing. It sounds like he has a plantar
Your
sport
foot
or
condition.
something.
We had that podiatrist
You want to talk
joke,
about your foot thing?
Well, you
He's
know-
got a bunion.
Oh, the thing is, I actually really loved the scene where they're all gathered in the, I guess, the lair, as you would call it. But you know, you've got the fencing all up everywhere, and Shredder is going into why they're going to take over the city, and I think he even goes into a little bit there about how he wants to take out the turtles. Doesn't he mention the turtles at that point?
Turtles! We must stop the turtles!
Freaks of nature.
So anyway, but the Foot Clan in this movie actually shows some kind of competence towards martial arts.
Yeah.
So that's really nice.
Yeah, they're not like those glorified stormtroopers with swords and stuff.
There's like that. By the way, this is them fighting in Secret of the Ooze.
Because they're not allowed to fight. You've also got the scene in Secret of the Ooze where you have them like dancing on the top of the counters in that lab because they weren't allowed to fight anybody.
No, but one of my favorite moves that the Foot Clan does in this is when the guy slides out from underneath the sewer grate.
Yeah.
He just like slides and shoots out. Fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you this too. Like I should have mentioned this earlier, but like in this movie, as opposed to Michael Bay's remake, Shredder is very menacing in this one. Like like he actually cuts a very good presence there. Like where
not a robot?
no, it's just like but like he's there, and it's just like there's like a sense of dread and foreboding with him. But in the remake, it's just a lot more of just like a. Let's get some cool special effects to make him try and look that way. But, I really like the characterization that they did with Shredder in this film, to at least make him that, imposing. And plus, let's not forget about those great, old-style Japanese, flashback scenes.
Oh, my God.
Coming out of the darkness.
With the rat doing this in the cage.
Let's just talk about those for a second.
Oh, man. The turtle's like, pizza!
They look like the Puppet Master style of puppets, a little bit.
For all the really, really good Henson creations, those ones in the flashbacks are really bad.
Well, here's my question.
Total blasphemy.
Well, here's my question too. So, is the
Last ones.
Yeah, that was the last one he was directly involved in. Right.
So, is the implication here that Splinter is already a very intelligent rat before he gets to the
Because you
use?
see him with the
Because
ladle.
he's able to comprehend karate as a rat.
I'll take that over reading it out
Listen,
of a
rats
book
are
any
really
day.
intelligent.
I'm just saying,
She's got a pet rat at home. Do not make fun of the rat.
I have a dog.
I have a dog.
He's small, but
bring me a rat.
They've got tons of rats.
Bring me a rat.
There's 5 rats.
5 rats.
Ninja.
How many are named Splinter?
Kick your ass.
To circle back while they're getting the rats, the area of the movie that doesn't work for me is all of Danny. The entire time Danny is on screen,
How dare you, sir?
He annoys the shit out of me.
It's kind of like Kino.
He is plot exposition wrapped into
Him
one.
in April.
I'll take him over Kino anyway.
Exactly.
As a person who has flat out said Secret of the Ooze is not a good movie, yeah, you're right. Kino sucks because that movie
man.
sucks. But
Go Ninja Go, all right?
yeah, Vanilla Ice. Congratulations.
Oh, hey, there they are.
Cheated.
Hi.
Yeah, there we go.
Look, that's cute. By the way, awesome that you named one of them Remy.
Yeah,
I love that.
there we go. There we go. Kill the
The one that taught me the bow staff.
If you close your face right now, we'll
Yeah.
Okay, so we've kind of gone over the movie quite a bit. Is there anything that people want to hit on about this movie before we go on and talking about what comes up after?
Sure.
Yeah.
Anything?
I would just go back to the choreography, the costumes. Brian, you mentioned, 70 pounds is what the Turtles costumes
They
were?
said the lightest was 70.
That's nuts.
That's crazy.
That's absolutely
the guy
nuts.
Who was in, I think, the Leonardo suit, I don't remember his name, was the one who said, it was either Leonardo or Michelangelo, went on a whole spiel about how horrible they were to wear.
Yeah, they said the motors are so loud that they couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, that's why in the second one they move and look so much better. I'm sorry, Scott, it's a better movie.
I agree.
Motors in the shells. They were able to put them in the face for that one, and then do it all more radio controlled. So they were able to actually have a lot more momentum and speed.
Now-
Whereas this one, they're just basically walking. They just put people inside of robots and hoped for the best.
The kid that played Kino, was he a turtle in this one or was he a turtle in 3? Because the guy who plays
I honestly
Kino,
don't remember.
yeah, because he's a turtle in one of the other movies too.
Yeah, he plays Donatello.
I'm looking here on IMDb, and there's actually everybody who was one of the turtle, inside the suit. Actually, they also
have a
played a
little
part
cameo.
in the movie. Because it says here the guy, the guy who played Leonardo, David Foreman, he was a gang member. But then they have Leif Tilden, who was Donatello. He was that foot messenger in the
slap
subway
guy.
that slaps April. And it looks like Michelangelo.
Michelangelo was the pizza
Michelangelo
guy, yeah?
was the pizza guy that actually delivers the pizza.
Wasn't like Raphael the guy you're going to LaGuardia, right?
Yeah, the
Cab driver.
Yeah, that's right.
Raphael was the one that sulked in the corner.
Aw, no one liked Raphael in this movie.
No, but
You said you wanted. If there's any.
He spent half of it in a bathtub.
The movie nails the brother relationship.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
brothers, and they
I'll give you
nail
that.
It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really true. Because
mean, I
there's
don't-
bickering, there's all that kind of stuff.
I'm a
But
girl.
when the chips are down, they're there for each other.
I have Venus in
I have a
later
brother.
cartoons.
Well, I'm just saying I can't really speak to what a brother relationship is like. I have 3 sisters.
all sisters.
I have one brother. But I am a girl, so
Really?
it's different. In case you couldn't tell.
No, but to go off of Craig, the choreography in this film is just great, considering all the stuff that they have to deal with. And again, I'm one who actually did kind of like the Michael Bay remake, but it's just the action in that is just so kind of frenetic and just cheesy a little bit when it comes to that. You can't really tell the space. That's why having the animatronics in the Muppets here is just so good with being able to ground you in this movie. You kind of totally believe that there could be these radioactive turtles fighting crime in New York City.
They look like they belong in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
There's one element that it's kind of a small thing, but which is why I like this one kind of over to Secret of the Ooze, and everything's dirtier in this movie.
Yeah, very much
The
so.
turtles sweat a lot. There's glistening. There's a little bit of dirt here. Even the frame is dirty. With the way they filmed it. I like that touch. How it's just 90s dirty.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
We haven't cleaned up New York yet.
Turn of the decade 90s dirty with still some boomboxes and shit.
Yeah, right.
Lots of bandanas.
But everyone was sweaty and grungy, and there was a grunge that just kind of got wiped clean with Secret of the Ooze, and I really like that grunge in this.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. This way, Shredder dies in this one by being kicked off a building into a trash compactor.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't watch the movie before?
No, I was just I was getting confused with which one was.
Yeah, no. And Casey Jones flips the switch and goes, "Oops."
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's murder too.
Manslaughter. Casey Jones was later tried and convicted.
that's why he doesn't come up in ooze.
It's okay if Magneto can get off of what he does in Apocalypse. Anyone can get off for any kind of.
There you go.
I really dislike the Casey Jones April relationship in this.
Oh, these really huge rapey kind
It's
of.
so rapey.
The worst part
so much.
is when she comes in and she's got some shoulder pain and she's wearing that shirt without a bra, which is kind of weird anyway. And he
nipples.
I wasn't gonna say it. I was, but she's like doing that. And he comes up to rub her shoulders and she pushes him away. And instead of being the gentleman about it, he grabs her by the
He's like,
shoulders.
"No, I must touch you."
And then he starts going really close to the tits when he's rubbing her.
I have such a problem with it. Or like she walks out on the porch, she's got like, I don't know, a hammer or something, and she's like, "I wouldn't ask anyone to help me if you were the last thing on the face of
not
the
a man,
planet."
last thing.
And then he just starts throwing out really shitty, like condescending, like, "Sweetheart," and just like goes through a series of them. "Princess." I just wanted to kick him in the balls.
but he gets his at the end. The swing falls down, and he's just sitting there like a buffoon. Like,
you know.
And I've already kind of hit on it with my my synopsis, but Casey Jones is just not a likable character in this movie. I agree with you, Brian. He's just not at all.
No, he's awful.
Like, again, the claustrophobia gag. I've never looked at a guy. I'm like, how freaking stupid and homophobic are you?
So you never took a gym class. So you've clearly never been in a locker room where you had to change with people.
I do like the joke about Jose Canseco, which really has a different.
Jose Canseco, bad. Hope you didn't pay for this.
Tell me you didn't pay for this.
2 for 1.
Oh Lord.
So, okay, one of the things we do here with the flashbacks is kind of discuss what happens after this in terms of the impact that this movie has had. Obviously, it's had an impact because we were joking already about the 2 sequels, plus the Michael Bay produced first movie, and obviously we're doing this today because
the concert video.
Oh yes, with Splinter doing his rock ballads.
Good.
Can we talk about the fact that there was a tour, like a live tour?
Craig was very disappointed he couldn't go.
Oh yeah, it was.
There's a really great episode of,
Richie Rich.
I want to say it's The Moth. It's either The Moth or Risk, one of those storytelling podcasts where they talk to a guy who was one of the touring actors.
Oh man,
That's awesome.
And talking about what it was like to do that. If I'll figure out what it is so we can put it in the notes or something,
Please.
so you can link to that.
And then also we had the Christmas special. Let's not forget the Christmas special.
We can forget it.
So let's go around and kind of talk about our lasting impact and what we feel not only about this movie, but let's talk a little bit about the remakes. Because I know we've hit on them a little bit, but because we're probably not going to do a full disclosure on Turtles, I'm guessing.
Probably not.
Let's talk about it a little
how
bit here.
dare you? No,
Let's talk
we
about
probably
how,
won't.
I'm guessing not. We didn't do a full disclosure on X-Men yet. I'm just
No, we haven't.
I saw it. I liked it.
I'm
Not
seeing
gonna
it
lie.
tomorrow. So
Yeah, I'm probably going to go tomorrow.
So after the hype, guys, let's start with you.
Well, the one that you keep saying 2 sequels. There was 3 sequels. One of them is animated. And it
Yes,
is
you're right.
fantastic.
Okay, you're
It's
completely
so
right.
good.
Which
So good.
I don't count that as a sequel to this. That's actually like a sequel to that cartoon that was on Nickelodeon.
No, it's not. It is
It's
most
not?
definitely not. They, even at the end of the movie, they have the shelf, like the trophy shelf.
Oh.
You have the scepter from 3. You have
Really?
you have Shredder's helmet from 1. Like you have all the stuff in there. Like it is
Wow.
a sequel to these movies.
I'll have to go back and watch it.
It is one of my favorite things Turtles like ever. Like they do such a good job. It's the best depiction of Leonardo almost anywhere other than the new IDW comics. If you don't read, they're phenomenal.
yeah,
But like for me, it's like I know John agrees with me. That movie is just
That-
fantastic.
I don't
And
think
that
I've ever
one's-
seen
That
it.
one's just called TMNT, right?
Yeah, it's just TMNT. And it's so good. The soundtrack's great. The voice acting is great. Like all of it. It actually made April like a legitimate character.
Oh, thank
Like,
God.
she actually fought, and she was great. And her relationship with Casey Jones was great. Like there's so much in that movie that was just like, as a fan, it's like this is what I wanted to see forever, and it was so great to see it. And then immediately after that, well, not immediately, but pretty soon after that is when they started the IDW comic, which was now what most people consider like the epitome of Turtles. Like if you like Turtles at all, you need to read that comic. And like those two things together have made like my life of turtle fandom like so much better.
The only thing I remember from TMNT is that Patrick Stewart's in it. I need to go back and watch it because I've only seen it once.
It's always a good indication of quality.
Why not?
I think for me, this is like this movie in particular has become kind of what I come back to when I watch these new things. It's kind of what I judge the newer things on. You know, the comics. I'm like, it's where I started with it. It's where what got me into other than the cartoons. What kind of really solidified me with Turtles. And I think when I started watching the new series, I was like, I don't like the graphics. I'm going to hate this going into it.
So good.
And then as they start like subverting everything that was in that, in the first movie and the comics, and they kind of play around with that, that's kind of like makes me. I'm really a fan of Turtles, and that's because
That
that's why.
Nickelodeon show is so good. Their episode of Big Trouble in Little China is one of the best things.
It's amazing.
One of
Even
those
the
dicks will make a
reference to
flashback of
Alien,
that.
so
Oh
so
man, we
good.
have to.
Awesome.
But even as they're bringing things in from, like, they've even got Razor in the new series, and
Wow.
like they're pulling from
You mean
all this
Discount
stuff.
Rocksteady? Or was that Discount Bebop?
Rocksteady are in there too. Yeah. They kick the Turtles' ass every single
They
time.
do, yeah. They're actual threats, which is really nice to see.
Although the voice of the one is not very good. Like,
Yeah.
Was that Razor there?
yeah,
That's stupid.
yeah. That's like the Superman chest thing.
Hey, the solenoid S is a legitimate power in the canon. No.
And that and say Secret of the Use is
No.
terrible.
Let me defend myself here. If you go, I'm going to plug. If you go back to our Superman flashback, I do point out Superman 2 does not hold up at all. I like the Donner cut though. The Donner cut's good.
Donner Cut's very good.
Donna Cut's pretty good. Okay.
That was a good episode of Flashbacks.
Because Allison was in it. So it was good.
No, it was just, it's a great movie.
It was good. We had it at your apartment.
It was
great.
at my apartment.
So Allison, what do you got?
I forgot what the question was.
And also, if you want to talk about the remakes at all, or any other franchise piece, is what they were doing.
No, I think that this movie did a good job of bringing in people who were a little bit too young to have seen, the original cartoons, and that the comic books were too dark for as children, and this kind of did a good job of bringing more people in that hadn't been exposed to it, and creating another generation of Turtles fans.
Excellent. True. Craig.
So right now, actually, I'm reading the IDW Turtles Batman crossover, and it's so amazing. But no,
Our show knows the writer.
what's that?
A friend of our show knows the writer of that book.
Holy
Really?
crap.
That's incredible.
Moved to California. People live out here.
Collectively, all of us.
You're whatever. So no, I just I like this movie because when you go back and watch it, it holds up, and I mean it allowed for those other two movies to come beyond it in the 90s, and then for them to be able to reboot the series in 2007. I have not actually seen the first remake, but I do have a legitimate question for everyone around the table. Next Friday, I've got some time. Should I go give my money to X-Men Apocalypse, which I've heard is not great, or should I go to?
I liked it.
Should I go to Turtles?
So good.
Craig.
Okay.
Craig, you grew up on the X-Men animated series. As I kind of posted on my Facebook, this is the X-Men animated series in movie form.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yes, Chewie?
Do you like 90s action storytelling?
Yes.
Then go see X-Men because it's everything we've missed.
It is.
All right,
They
fair
basically-
enough.
This is Brian Singer saying, you fans wanted this, and this, so I'm just going to put it all in one movie. I'm like, oh, thank you.
It's so good.
I loved it.
So X-Men's the answer, apparently.
X-Men.
For our fans that don't know who the head was that just popped in, that was Chewie Darso from After the Hype.
And other hosts on After the Hype.
Nice.
Along with Ryan James, and then, of course, Jonathan Harvey, who's sitting right here.
I just
See, there she is again.
I just completed some of Brian's homework for me, so that's
You kind of look like a disembodied head right now. Speaking of crappy Ghostbuster movies, what?
I just read The Rebirth.
She just read DC Rebirth.
Oh my god, it's so good! Oh my god!
Can you give me? Whoa.
Sorry,
shit.
I want.
I'm getting there. I haven't got it yet. You guys stay quiet.
Brian, we need to text.
You guys stay quiet. I haven't got it yet.
We need to text about Rebirth.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet.
If you go to our sponsor, Killen's Comics,
Yeah,
and
buy
buy
it
the
to our
damn book.
sponsor, Killen's
No, you
Comics.
can't
No,
buy it
they
because
were
It's
it's
not
sold
there.
out.
Damn it! I already went.
They're sold out.
I tried to support our sponsor.
Brian went to like Starship Comics or some bullshit.
Last Dog Comics in North Hollywood.
Starship
So,
Comics.
Jeremy, what do you got?
Yeah.
Oh my god! If you've not read DC Rebirth, you're not a fan.
Seriously, that's what I hear. Like,
It is so good.
Once I
can't
can
wait
get
to
it,
read
I will.
I've tried to get back into DC. Craig's given me some comics to read, and DC for the past 10 years has really been like, wow.
I gave him the Scott Snyder runs.
I like those, but I'm just like, the Batman runs are good, but I've tried reading some other stuff.
Oh
and
my god, Jeff Johns Green Lantern? Jeff Johns Green Lantern? It's one of the best things that's ever happened.
Blackest Night?
You're mine if you don't read that.
I'm a Marvel fanboy, I'm sorry.
Snyder is just good.
The end.
Snyder
a
is
good
excellent.
Snyder DC combo.
Here's the thing, though. What Craig gave me was like the end of the Batman line where Joker has like some metaphysical powers, which is just weird.
He's Marvel.
Calm down. Wait. Truce, peace.
Make mine Marvel. What? Jeremy, what do you got?
Wait, we're talking about turtles, right?
Right, so Turtles.
This is flashbacks where we have.
Yeah.
This is flashbacks where we have stream of consciousness. Usually Kevin, but right now it's me. Us.
You want an example? Go listen to our Batman.
Okay.
I'm just drunk in the corner.
Yeah. Okay. Lasting impressions. As I said earlier, this is one of the few movies I got to watch growing up, and it kind of
Over and over again.
Yeah, over and over again. But it was kind of like it opened the door to that kind of comic book fantastical world to me. I found out it was a comic book, and I saw a few issues of that. Then I found out that there were more comic books, and all of this stuff kept going. Ah, damn you! God damn it!
Why did they kill Superman and bring him back in one up like that?
Jesus!
Jerk off Superman?
Anyway,
Which Superman is it? There's like 15 of them right now, right?
You didn't see it. I was jerking off the comic. I'm sorry.
Show them the last page and just fuck their
God
minds.
damn it, you people!
Don't do it.
I didn't know that was physically possible.
Please put it away!
That's the last
do it,
page.
don't do
Okay,
it.
fair
Damn
enough. Good call. Good call.
It's just a checklist.
No!
Here. Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Put it away!
Sorry, not sorry.
Crap! What was I talking
But
about?
when you're wrong, you're wrong, right? I mean,
Yeah.
You were talking about the.
Holy
the
God,
movies
let's get back to Turtles.
Turtles. Right. This is a podcast about turtles.
No, like I said though, it kind of opened the door to comic books and all of that kind of stuff, and now the things that I read and the things that have kind of influenced how I look at the world in terms of morals and stuff. And no, with comic books, literally, I don't want to go into the whole sob story, but kind of Superman taught me what it means to be a good person, and to always do right no matter what the cost and everything
make sure
like
Metropolis
that.
blows up.
That too, but it's just this movie kind of opened that door to me because I found out what a comic book was, and then that in turn got me to some of the best things that I've ever read and that I've ever make lasting impacts on me. The fact that the movie doesn't sit there, it's a good movie in my opinion, but that's about it. So
What's going on?
So,
What was that?
I know Scott's gonna go, but before we do that, Brian, if I were someone that wasn't into the IDW series, I looked it up and there's 15 volumes.
They looked aghast when you said that.
Do you need to start at the beginning, or can you jump in somewhere else?
Honestly, if you haven't started it, I'd recommend starting at City Fall.
City Fall.
Maybe if you can find the start of City Fall, start 5 issues before it so you can kind of see how they get there.
Okay.
But City Fall is one of the best stories told in turtle history. I don't want to ruin any of it for you if you've not read it, but it's just a really, really, really well told story. And it's not I love Marvel and DC. I'm wearing Spider-Man right now. But it doesn't you don't need 50 tie-ins to get one story. It's just you read the City Fall story and that's it. And it's such a great story. You get to know all the ins and outs of all the characters, and from there on out, it just plows forward, and you can just keep going. Because from there, you can go out to the farmhouse, much like they do in this movie, and there's a great story there. And then it just keeps continuing and going from there, and it's phenomenal from there on out. But honestly, if you haven't done it, just go back to the beginning. Start with Volume 1. You're not doing yourself a disservice, and it's just so good. They even explain why they have different colored masks, why Raphael doesn't. And they go through all this really cool stuff in the beginning to set up why the Turtles are who they are and why they become who they become. And it's such a wonderful told story that you're fine starting at City Fall if you don't want to go back and read all those, but you're gonna have a much better trip if you just start at one.
Gotcha.
All right.
Cool.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, no, I think you guys have hit on a lot of things. I do want to. I kind of joked about the remake. I did not see in the theaters because it had Michael Bay on it. Even if he's not the director, it had him on there. So, but I did catch it, and it actually wasn't that bad. As much as I gave Jeremy crap, it wasn't that bad. The couple things that I
in the elevator, man. Yeah.
I really enjoyed the brothers again, as you mentioned with this movie. The brothers really play out in here, especially at the end where Raph kind of comes around and realizes he has to work with everybody and everything else. My biggest issue with that movie was, I think they had that one villain being Shredder, and then they lost their balls and decided to make him into a massive CGI robot.
Yeah.
It looks like I'm actually kind of interested in this new one because it basically looks like they're taking the cartoon and making it into movie form. And I'm just going to go in there and turn my brain off and watch it, and I think it's going to be pretty good. So the remake had been okay. I think in all of the different versions of this franchise, and I had to go back and look at TMNT because I've only seen it once, but this is my quintessential Turtles movie and quintessential Turtles piece. I like it a lot. I went back and watched it last night for the first time in probably a decade, and it holds up. It was an enjoyable watch. I had fun with it. There are some parts, again, Danny, where I just didn't like it, but in the grand scheme of things, it was a very good movie, so I liked it a lot. Anyone have anything, closing thoughts before we wrap up?
Nope.
Turtle Power.
Turtle Power.
Turtlp. Okay.
I'll close with the Buddha Kasha.
Okay, we're going to go around the room. Let's start with our friends on the inner tubes from After the Hype. And also, if you guys want to kind of talk up your podcast, because we haven't really done that too much, tell us what the people can expect when they download After the Hype.
Okay, so the pitch for After the Hype is it's basically I came from a place of I'm kind of tired of hate culture, if you will. So a lot of times with movies nowadays, they'll either get a lot of really, really big praise and then everybody hates it, or everybody hates it and then it actually wasn't that bad. And that's all in that cloud of hype. So I thought it'd be interesting to start a podcast back with my friend Nick Friedman, who's no longer on the show now. Jonathan replaced him, and now we have Chewy and Ryan with us.
I took him out.
It's brutal. So basically what we do is we take a movie or TV show we've done before. We've done video games every now and then, but mostly movies. And we look at them, say, after the hype has died down, hence the title. So we'll talk about a movie, say, 6 months after it's been in theaters, or usually maybe about like a couple weeks after it's hit DVD. So really at this point, we're going to spoil everything because it's on you for not have watched it at this point. So we're not going to talk about anything that you haven't had a chance to watch. And we'll go on there, we try to go as unbiased as possible. We look at movies for what they are, not for what people have talked about.
There will be a link on the show notes, I'm sure, and we'll put a link down at the bottom of YouTube if you're checking us out there. So please go check them out.
You guys graciously allowed us to put your logo on our new website as a podcast partner, so thank you for that.
Jonathan, what do you got?
What's that?
What do you got? Close it up.
Closing thoughts. Oh, closing thoughts on Turtles or just our
Just in
podcast?
general.
In general.
The greatest.
on life. I don't
On
know.
life, yes.
The answer is 42.
Well, if you want to go out and find you on the Facebooks and the Twitters.
On Twitter at Movie Guy John. That's where you
Okay.
find me.
There you go.
Awesome,
This
perfect.
guy's podcast here. He recruited me and made me hate a lot less stuff. Like
The hate quotient.
Is there higher praise? I think
a
not.
lot of things.
I really hate BVS, so it's okay. It's all it guys know.
Brian, you and I need to team up on this guy here, man. Like, come on, we need to tag team
You
this.
even said it's gotten worse.
I said
as
it's
you
got
watch
problems, just like he said with a few other things, but it doesn't mean it's a bad movie.
So there.
It means it's like a 70
Air
instead of like
five.
a 30.
it. Okay, and around the Greg, you just backed up the camera. Thank you. And around the table, Allison.
I don't
Just say bye or something.
Bye!
Okay, we have Allison, we have Craig.
Find us at find Front Row Movie Reviews at the Front Row Movie Reviews. If you want to go ahead and contact the show, the Front Row Movie Reviews at gmail.com. Also, we're launching our website, and I don't
May
know exactly
33rd.
when this is going to drop, but it'll be May 33rd or June 2nd for people that actually look at the calendar.
Yeah.
But it's Jeremy did a great job with this site, so I hope that you check it out. What I like most about it is that you can just go and click on any episode you want. It'll immediately pull up the Libsyn feed, and you just go. You can just listen to it streaming right there. So check it out, and I hope that you guys enjoy the site as much as we do. And also contact us through Facebook if you'd like, or Instagram at the Front Row Movie Reviews.
And
I will throw in there really quick, if you don't mind. Craig did show me the website, and if I could be sexually attracted to a website, I'd be sexually attracted to a website.
And when this podcast drops, because Jeremy and deadlines don't really work out too well.
No, this is hard.
When this
Hard
this
deadline.
podcast drops and the website's, if it's not up, you
It's
can
up.
send your hate mail to the front row at gmail.com.
I have already scheduled to go live. I cannot
Good.
stop it. It is done. Like,
We will tie you down to a chair when it goes live, just so you can't.
I
screw
cannot
with it.
physically stop it.
Jeremy.
Yeah, just thank you guys for everything. And the important thanks for the crossover episodes. You guys were the first podcast I ever downloaded, honestly. And like Craig told me about it, and I just loved every episode since. And you really kind of showed us a good way to talk about movies too. And just like, because we're kind of the same. We're kind of the same way. We're just like sick of the hate culture too. Like everybody telling you what's wrong with the movie. Let's talk about what's right with them, even if they do totally suck. We can find one good thing, and then we'll blast the rest of the movie. But we'll talk about that one good thing.
The closing credits of BVS were amazing.
Oh my God, Scott.
But just thank you guys for all the help that you've given us, and definitely go download After the Hype. It's an amazing podcast. I listen to every episode.
I totally agree with it. Yeah.
Kevin, what do you got?
After the hype,
I'm drunk.
And Kevin's drunk.
Hey, Kevin, do we have a state budget yet?
Nope.
Yeah.
No.
No, Illinois.
And to wrap things up again, we've already kind of masturbated off on After the Hype quite a bit, but
Did you say masturbate?
He
yes,
did.
we masturbated off After the Hype. That's great.
They already jerked off a comic. It's
Yeah.
So, but no, one really good one, as we kind of mentioned, where do you jump in with IDW? I really like their X-Men 3 Wolverine, Bad versus Bad, or whatever you call it. I enjoyed that quite a bit. So if you were looking for something just to check out, especially with X-Men Apocalypse coming out, check out that podcast. I think if you listen to that one, you're going to enjoy these guys, and you're probably going to subscribe to them. At least you should subscribe to them. We won't talk about the Force Awakens podcast. It will be okay.
That's all right.
And Craig's already done the plug, so I think at this point we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Until next time, we'll see you in the... Craig's giving me a look.
Yeah.
Okay. Until next time, we'll see you in the front row, and then I'm going to turn the camera and go, go! Go! Play. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
game's dragging on. There's strikes on the batter, some runners are on. Then suddenly everyone's looking at me. My mind has been wondering, what could it be? They point to the sky and I look up above, and a baseball falls into my glove. I play right field. It's important you know. You gotta know how to catch. You gotta know how to throw. That's why I play in right field, way out where the dandelions grow.
As a proud sponsor of Little League Baseball, Pizza Hut welcomes all the kids who make it great.
Making it great.